3, 2, 1.
Hey, this is a call to order of a Bridgeport Board of Education facilities meeting for the month of March. Today's date is March 1st, 2021. The time is noted as being 5:36 p.m. Present are myself, Committee Chair John Weldon, committee members Justice Sokolovic and Albert Benahan. Also present is board member Sybil Allen. I don't see any other board members present. From the staff is Superintendent Michael Testani, and from the Facilities Department is George Garcia, Robert Hammond, and Alan Wallach. We have a new face here this evening, Mr. Garcia. Welcome back. Glad you're here.
Thank you. You're excited.
Okay, I hope so. So, our first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of February 1st, 2021 Facilities Committee meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
You're not a member of the committee, Ms. Allen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Is
Thank
someone able to make a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sokolovic. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Benahan. Is there any discussion to be had? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstained? For the record, Mr. Benahan, are you voting in favor of approving? Mr. Benahan, you're voting in favor?
Yeah, you hear me?
Okay. Next item on the agenda is review of facilities maintenance activities related to COVID-19. Mr. Testani, I'm going to defer to you as to who you think is best equipped in facilities to be talking about this. This is not a typical item on our agenda, but it was requested by Mr. Benahan. So
as you all are aware, we began the year by working this summer to remove furniture, remove all kinds of non-essential items from classrooms in order to space children out further apart during the COVID-19 reopening. Teacher resources were all placed in areas of the building like the gymnasiums where they can have access to that stuff easily if they need to get to their things. We are looking, and we will have some further conversations at this point as we welcome more kids back, the need for more furniture. We can get into the specifics. You're all well aware that we've purchased well over 2 million masks, almost 100,000 packets of wipes, sanitizing bottles for classrooms and offices, sanitizing stations at all lavatories and common areas, plexiglass for everyone who's requested them, plexiglass in classrooms where desks are not accessible, but tables are, and two children would have to sit at a table either next to each other or facing each other. We have custodians that Bobby can speak to, and Alan, taking measures to sanitize each and every day. I think the custodial staff has done a great job. Early on in the year, as you all were aware of from notifications, that when we had incidents where we have a COVID-19 reported case, we did go in and do I would consider above and beyond in terms of sanitizing buildings and classrooms. We've learned a lot over the last several months, and everything's being done now. Any intense or extensive sanitizing on a case-by-case basis if necessary. But again, it's been an enormous task, and one of the things is starting to empty out and return stuff back into classrooms. But I think most likely I'll defer to the experts on this, that it might be beneficial to leave as much stuff in storage right now, so it'll make the summer cleaning easier than to push everything back that we probably don't need, pull it back out again, clean rooms, wax floors, and push it all back. So I think we'll just add any additional desks as we plan to reopen later in the year to more in-person learning once all our staff members who have asked to be vaccinated do receive their second dose of the vaccine. I know there's been a lot of talk of towns around us that have increased their in-person learning prior to vaccination, based on CDC saying it's not necessary for school reopening for vaccinations, but I think that was more geared towards school systems that haven't opened yet. We did open without vaccinations available, but I think because our class numbers and class sizes are so large compared to our suburban towns that surround us, it's just not possible to bring back all the kids at this time without protecting our staff first. We received an email. I received an email over the weekend of a gentleman asking, well, Fairfield's doing this, why aren't we doing it? And obviously, because Fairfield has class sizes anywhere from 18 to maximum of 20, Bridgeport Public Schools are at 29. So we're going to be cautious. We're going to protect our staff with 2 doses of the vaccine, and then we'll think about working with our facility staff to add some furniture in classrooms where needed. But that's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to defer then to Alan and Bobby as to any other things that they worked with their staff on accomplishing this year related to sanitizing and cleaning and everything else that is a little bit out of the ordinary than a normal school year.
Well, one good thing is it's an opportunity for us to remove a lot of the clutter from all the classrooms. A lot of the materials we found out the teachers weren't using, so they'll have an opportunity when we do start putting things back to clean up their classrooms, clean up their closets, and make it a more orderly classroom for the staff and the students.
I envision that these classrooms are going to be a lot more streamlined. So moving forward, our goals are to make sure that, these guys are getting in and, they have a cleaner lane to be able to do what they got to do. In terms of the current state of COVID, the numbers are going down, vaccines are rolling out. We don't want people to get complacent. So tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., I'm meeting with the entire trades staff. We're going to be discussing, where we are in terms of, the state of COVID in Connecticut. We want to make sure that we're highlighting and reinforcing the fact that we don't want to let our guard down, that it's important for us to continue to follow all the guidelines that we have set forth. We're still every Monday distributing fresh PPE to our trade staff. And, it's very important that we make sure that they understand that, good things are starting to happen. We're starting to, get a grip of the pandemic, but we can't let our guard down, especially with the trades guys that are traveling throughout the school district. And the other part is that on Wednesday, I'll be meeting with the head custodians, and we want to reinforce the same message. I want to reinforce that, we got to keep up that vigilance, and we want them to cascade that message down to their staffs to make sure that everyone understands that, we see some light at the end of the tunnel, but, there's a lot of work yet to be done. And in terms of distribution of PPE is distributed to the custodians through requisition within 24 to 48 hours. So, we're in a good state in terms of making sure that we're providing all the necessary PPE and equipment to keep our staff safe and healthy. And, we've done an audit of where we are in terms of PPE, and we feel strongly that we have enough for about a year and a half if we needed to continue at the rate that we're rolling with. But, the goal for us is to make sure that, everyone keeps that vigilance, and that, when there is a need for us to go in and do that sanitization after a case, that, everyone is doing it properly and safe.
Okay. Yeah, anything to add, Mr. Hammond?
No, I have to tell you, it was a challenging year. I have to say, to get in, I think for everybody here, that you have to know it was a collective effort, and with the support of the superintendent and a coordinated effort, just attaining all the PPE that we did and getting all the measures in place, the handheld touchless devices outside all the bathrooms. It was a monumental effort, and I'd like to thank everybody that participated. The custodial staff did a tremendous job. To the superintendent's point, of course, it was a little bit strenuous times, but we knew what a challenge we had in front of us. And I can speak for the whole department. I think we stepped up and delivered a service without question that people could be satisfied with.
Okay. So I'm going to open it up for questions for anyone with any questions for either Mr. Garcia, Mr. Hammond, Mr. Wallach, Mr. Testani. Albert, you have your hand up?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Waller, I have a question for you, Mr. Hammond. Still have stuff in the room. Remember the last time we went to the former Mr. Hernan was with us? We went visit Black and Marine School. I remember you showed us some rooms that have so many stuff that they're supposed to teachers have. They still have it there, or they really throw it away?
No, that stuff was never, we had several, maybe one or two teachers that did attempt to return some of that merchandise, but we did get rid of it.
Oh, okay. And thank you, Mr.
Excuse me,
Mr.
Albert.
Garcia.
Albert,
Oh, sorry.
what kind of stuff was this?
It was a sofa, Mr. Walden.
It was like
Okay,
it was like a personal thing, sofa, recliner, and things like that. Now to go for the school or for the classroom was not safety, so we walk around some school.
Okay.
And it was not things that Mr. Waller and Mr. Hammond said is a t-shirt that don't take you home back or something like that. It will be garbage another way.
all right, continue, Albert.
And Mr. Garcia, thank you so much for your information. I appreciate your Mr. Garcia, your information.
Thank you.
Is that it?
No question, Mr.
Okay, Mr. Scholar?
Yeah, I don't know who the question should be directed to, but what kind of thinking are we doing for post-pandemic? Because we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and one of the things that comes to mind is like putting the furniture back, and if there's any changes we're going to make to what should be included and what shouldn't be included post-pandemic. And also another thing that comes to mind is the water fountains have been shut down for all this time, and are we going to like bleed them or make sure everything's like that's been shut down is brought back online, and if any procedures in place or whatever?
Well, in terms of the bleeding component, that obviously will happen, and the facilities folks will oversee that. My thinking as well, and we thought about it, earlier on, but replacing wherever we can water fountains with water fill stations so that kids can come to school with a plastic bottle or a plastic, watering thing such as something like this, and they can fill their bottles up and they can sip water, rather than have, water fountains that are obviously germ havens. So I think with some of our funding from the feds, that's some things we can look to upgrade our facilities, the water bottle filling stations rather than the traditional fountains.
So this will be like something like units, like filtration units. Like I know I got them at work. I don't know what exactly they called it, like boxes.
I don't know if you've been, like, they have them now at all the gyms and things like that, where they're add-ons to the fountains, and they're touchless. You put your bottle there and the water fills up. I think it goes through some sort of filtration, I would assume.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm used to seeing a unit that kind of taps into the existing water source.
Yeah.
Filter through. You have a filtration system and you have a contactless filling device. I don't have any questions. Mr. Garcia, this is your first day. I'm curious if you have any questions. I'm sure it's been action-packed. They usually are.
Yeah, it sure was. One of the things I saw is this team really worked together, at a very high level to accomplish everything they did. And, it's going to give us the opportunity to think outside the box a bit. When you think of a pandemic, you sort of think about hunkering down and sort of, trying to ride it out. But I think, they've done such a tremendous job that we can start looking towards the future, and we can start planning on what we're going to do after things start to settle down. And I think that's the exciting part of where we are. I don't want to say that we want to take advantage of the time, but, we're in a position where we could start thinking about how we could take advantage of, having some space in the buildings, having that extra day on Wednesday, and how we can maximize the efforts of the team, to be able to sort of get over the hump. We've sat around the table for years and said to ourselves, only if we had the time. It's one of those things where, we finally have the time to do some of these things. So we're excited at the prospects. Our first 30 days are going to really be, very intense in terms of getting some systems in place, performance measures, really maximizing our best practices. But you know, the team has done so much good work with the COVID stuff that, you know, we're able to just really hit the ground running and start looking at the future.
Okay. Mr. Benahan, did you raise your hand again?
Yes, I did, sir. Thank you. Mr. Garcia or Mr. Hammond, so far, I know Mr. Sestani gave you the information about what I asked for. Thank you, Mr. Sestani. So far, all the custodians and, you know, they have supplies and stuff like that. We're not going to be short of nothing, you know, just for the beginning, you know, to keep going this situation.
Mr. Benhan, I can answer that. The custodians that are short are the ones that don't reach out and ask. And we don't get an order in a timely manner because we know when they're ready. We have a very good warehouse supply man out there, manager, and knows when they're due and knows how much they are entitled to receive at such a time. So if we don't get an order within a few days, we know what they need, and we bring it to them.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And more, we're trying to put systems that are automated. That's the goal. You know, we want things to sort of happen holistically and, you know, giving us that extra time that we need to focus on, you know, moving the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of inventory management, that's typical. You know what the consumption rate of particular items in a particular area is and when they should be being resupplied. But at the same time, you know, a degree of onus is on the head custodian at the building to know what he needs. If he runs out of something before he's supposed to run out of it, he needs to make a phone call or follow the proper mechanism to get restocked. And, you know, I don't know if there's a way that, or if it becomes too time consuming to, as the time for restocking approaches, to reach out to the head custodian and say, hey, you're scheduled for a restock of certain items. Is there anything else that you need that we might not be aware of?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we like to get
responses.
Yeah, and we like to get, you know, a system in place where, you know, they're getting reminders, you know.
Even if it's just like an email.
Yes.
Hey, do you need anything?
Yep. So like that, you know, it becomes, you know, that little bit of help that they get, you know, every day's fluid in the building, as you all know. So, you know, you can be pulled every which way and things happen. So, you know, whatever we can do to help these guys to make sure that, you know, they're following through on the things that they need to do is very important to us. You know, for us, it all starts with the head custodian. We really got to make sure that we're holding them accountable for the activities that they need to address on a regular basis. So we're gonna start to really provide some resource to them. Our goal is to be in every single school in the district every week. So a management team member is going to be in every single school, you know, get around, talk to the folks, see the staff. We discussed today about the need to get out in the evening, you know, so we'll take some, you know, 7 to 10 o'clock visits to see the evening staff, you know, make sure that they understand that, you know, there's going to be a level of communication there for them also if there's any needs. And, you know, we want to get out there and really understand, you know, what's going on in the field. That's important. And, you know, the staff is only going to work as hard as the investment we make in them. So, you know, we're going to put a calendar of training and certification together for them. So, you know, we really want to build them up and make them as strong as they can be. And, you know, we've got some resources that our vendors can provide in terms of training and certification that are free. And, you know, we want to take full advantage of that. And, you know, we can offer some CPR and some OSHA 10 to these guys, you know, and really make this a staff that, you know, is versatile. And no matter what the situation is, they're going to be able to adapt.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, one last piece to Mr. Skolovic's point. I think post-pandemic, you're going to see for at least another year, maybe longer, the need to continue with sanitizer and wipes, definitely with masks during the course of next year, since no one under the age of 16 will be vaccinated. So, and there's still going to be folks that, and of our staff, that are going to want to wear a mask during the course of the day to protect themselves. So I think we're going to stay consistent with those kind of things. We've gotten dollars already put aside to keep replenishing our supply as needed, but you know, the wipes and the sanitizer, I think, are just good practice going forward in maintaining a healthy environment in our schools.
Okay. Mr. Skokovic, you got your hand up?
Yeah, what about ventilation plans? Any upgrades of ventilation systems and such in the works?
So,
That's a good question, but that's also a big expensive item. So,
My understanding was that it was more about adequately maintaining the filtration systems.
Yep.
Not so much about the systems themselves, but being diligent about swapping out filters when they need to be swapped out.
Yep.
And we're doing that?
yes. So we've got a calendar for filter changes. We've got a filter change coming up, I believe. The orders are being put in now. So that's for us in the Bridgeport School District. We've done a good job with filter changes, thank God, because the cheapest way to keep our systems running is through regular maintenance of our filters. So the guys are on that. The head custodians handle that at the building level, supported by our ops supervisor, Alan Porzel, who gets out there. He handles ordering. He handles that's sort of his project management area, supported by the rest of the team. In terms of HVAC, we had a meeting for about an hour and a half this morning discussing HVAC in general. What maintenance has been, what maintenance activities have we been doing? What are our durations? Preparing for the changeover into the warmer months. So the team's already starting to focus on that. And, ultimately, we're going to look to do a complete audit of all the HVAC systems to get a good sense of where we are. We want to have shovel-ready projects if there's opportunity for COVID dollars or any grants that may come through. We want to be able to have the data to support a request. So the goal for us is to have something, over the next 60 to 90 days that really ties up everything, condition and all, that can be a driver for any dollars that may come down. But, we have a good handle on where we have issues, and we're working on those now. We've got a couple, areas that the guys are working on at this moment. And, some Alliance grant dollars are being utilized, some grant funding. So, we've got a good mix of resources allocated, and we're working through those things now. I'm going to help project manage some of that to take the load off some of the guys. So, we had a good, healthy discussion about that this morning.
Okay. Anything else, Joe?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, that's it for facilities for March. So unless anybody else has anything to add, I'm going to seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Time is noted as being 5:59 p.m. Have a good night.
Thank you.
See you.
Good night. God bless you all.